Time for another coffee with Kilroy, or what I like to call beverage in a book. My beverage, you guessed it, coffee. Yours, well, I hope it's something that pleases you. The book today is An Emperor's Revenge by Rob Taylor. Now, this is part of the Time Quest Books that I've covered, already covered a few of these. I think there might be only 3, so maybe I've covered all of them now. The first one I covered was the Rosenheim Project, and the second one was the Gunpowder, Treason, and Plot, and now the Emperor's Revenge. And these are historical choose-your-own-adventure books. They're akin to, the fantasy and sci-fi choose-your-own-adventure that I grew up with, or maybe you grew up with. But these are based in a historical period and are based on historical research. I have not vetted it or fully vetted it or determined, how accurate the history is, but it sounds good to me, it reads good to me, and basically you're learning it in an interactive fashion. And isn't that really what a lot of us are looking for when we're playing war games? We're trying to learn history, in the case of war games, military history, in an interactive fashion, by the tactile feel of moving counters around or rolling dice or looking at charts and trying to understand what happened in a particular battle or war or engagement. And these Time Quest books are doing that in a choose-your-own-adventure and taking a piece out of history and letting you live that history. So let me get another sip here. You can, drink at your leisure. Let's take a look at the back of the books. Well, as you can tell here, this is An Emperor's Revenge. This is going to take place during the Napoleonic era. I think at the end. This takes place actually after Waterloo. Let's take a look here at the back. Experienced firsthand the characters, dangers, and adventures of 1818 with the second in the popular Time Quest Books series. An Emperor's Revenge is the real-life history game book that puts you in the shoes of a British Regency-era royal bodyguard in the wake of the Battle of Waterloo. With peril at every turn, can you make the right decisions to win the race against time and foil a dastardly plot threatening to plunge Europe into chaos? So that is, can you change the course of history? That is what's going on here. And I won't be able to do a full page through on this because, again, it's a choose-your-own-adventure, so it's about branching chapters, and you're going to read some text or narrative and make some decisions, and that's going to send you on down your path. And then you'll make some more decisions, and that branches you off in another path. And so I really can't do a page through because you'll be giving away, some of the surprises or spoilers of what's going to happen down the road. So I guess this was the second book, which the first one was the Rosenheim Project, which deals with the hypothetical or alternative history of trying to assassinate Hitler. And then this is the third one, I guess, Gunpowder, Treason, and Plot, which deals with the gunpowder plot to blow up Parliament. I think this was at like 1605. So this one is in the early 1800s. So it tells you, how to play this book, right? How to read the book, time points. These time points are interesting. Each of the books deals with them a little different. Like the Rosenheim Project, there was like Gestapo points, and if you got so many of them, you're going to be arrested. This one, if you ever reach 20 time points, you turn to page 100, and that's the page 100 is the bad page in these books. You want to stay away from page 100. You want to get to page 300, which will get you to the end here. There's not only is there decisions, but there's fighting. Fighting's done a little bit different, as I've covered some of these war game books or choose your own adventure books recently, and some of them use a dice combat. This one uses a flip a coin, or this series uses a flip a coin to handle it. It's kind of a little different way of handling it, but everybody's got a coin, right? or something to flip. And so that makes it, these a little bit more portable if you're out and about and wanting to play these. You just need a coin as opposed to dice or anything like that. There's some equipment. So, I believe all Choose Your Own Adventures have a certain RPG or role player game-ish feel to them. But the more that you add stuff to it, like either keeping track of equipment or keeping track of character stats, this one you don't. But some of the games that I've covered recently, have a character sheet and equipment and you're logging stuff. And so, I mean, it really does feel like a role-playing game, and a solitaire role-playing game at that. So this is the basic rules. You got 2 pages, not even full pages, and then you're going to turn to page 1, and then off you go. You're into the narrative. And there's a lot of history in here. They have some notes here that's giving you some context. So, even if you're not into game books or into the RPG-ish feel of it, you can learn some history here and just kind of read the history. And if you know the history, you can kind of test your history and try to make the right decisions and see if you really kind of know what was going on and how it might play out. For me, I like learning the history, but I also like the interactive nature of trying to live in the history and trying to figure out, what are some of the decisions I need to make based on what I know about the history and what I'm learning and the like. These are illustrated as well, so you're just not reading text after text after text. So that's kind of cool here. So these are, I would probably put these in quasi-historical or alt history, because you're taking a time period and doing something a little bit different with it. So anyway, so I really can't do much of a page through because that's it. Now you're starting to make decisions. You're going to go to turn to page 133 or turn to page 153 or turn to page 81. So, you got 3 branches that go off of this. And so, as I said, that you're in it. And some of these are real short. And so these really don't take a ton of time to get through. That's the page you want to get to, 300. But, there's decisions, there's paragraphs to read, there's a little bit of historical text and notes here. There's illustrations. So, I mean, these are enjoyable. These, if you like history, here's the Battle of Waterloo here. If you like history and you like, interacting with history and like some, role-playing elements of it, then these Time Quest books, fit into that. If you really want to stay with more war games and the like, well, then I've covered a lot. If you look at my war game books or my bookshelf or any of those coverage, there's a lot there to look at for something that focuses more on military history or war games. This one potentially gets a little bit into military history because you're right around Waterloo or thereafter or the after effects of that. So this might have a little bit of that. And of course, there's the coin flip fighting in this as well. Or if you just like Choose Your Own Adventures and you're tired of the standard fare of sci-fi and fantasy, here's some history. You can actually learn something while you're trying to entertain or enjoy the Choose Your Own Adventure nature of these books. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Love to know what you think about this book if you've gone through it, or any of these that are in the Time Quest library, so to speak. Love to hear what you think about them. I tend to, I have quite a few Choose Your Own Adventures, but I tend to not. I kind of sit on them for a while before I get into them, or if I do play it, then I let them sit for a while so to go back into it. I don't like one-shot stuff. That's one reason I probably avoid legacy type games in the Euro hobby game world. If I buy something, I like to enjoy it multiple times. That's why I buy board games and war games. I like to be able to have it and pull it off the shelf and experience it multiple times. And Choose Your Own Adventures tend to be kind of one shots, or you get a few shots with it, but after so many times, you kind of know the narrative, the path, what's going on. That's one thing about the recent ones I've covered with Adam Mitchell, which has die mechanisms that kind of move the narrative forward because you don't know what's going to. Every time you play it, you could take a different path. Now you might see some of these same paths over and over again, but with the die mechanism that controls instead of just the pure decision, you don't have complete control over that. You can't just say, well, I'm going to take this path and I've got it all mapped out. And of course, you write down all the numbers and everything. With the die mechanism, there's some randomness, chaos, fog of war, whatever, what have you, and that's going to drive you forward. So those have a little more replayability than your standard just choose your own adventure. But anyway, that's what I have. Love to hear your thoughts. Love to know what you think about it. Love any kind of dialogue on this or any of the other topics I've covered. Open to it all. Want to thank you for spending some time with me today. I know it's precious, and so any amount of time you spend with me, whether it's a second, a minute, an hour, hopefully I'm not that long-winded, but I do tend to ramble on. I really appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Enjoy your coffee or beverage of choice, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching.